The admission fee at a carnival is $1.50 for children and $4 for adults. So we have a certain day where 292 people entered the park. The admission fees collected totaled $788. How many children and how many adults were admitted that day? So what we need to do here is set up a system of equations. We're trying to figure out children and adults, how many of each were admitted. So we know together it's going to be 292. All of the children and all of the adults total 292. So we're going to make that an equation. When I do these, I like to use variables that make sense with what they're representing. So I'm going to use C for children and A for adults, and we will equal 292 total. Now the second equation we can actually build on this equation. It's going to be similar. So we're going to have $1.50. We know we're going to earn that for each child plus $4 for each adult. So that's the total amount brought in if we add these two together. And they tell us in the problem that the total amount equals 788. Okay, so we've got our equation representing how many children and adults entered, so how many total people entered, and then we have our equation representing the total fees collected. Okay, so this is the first part. To me, it's the hardest part, and now we're just going to solve it. So we can solve by either substitution or elimination. I think in this case, I'm going to do substitution. So let's go ahead, well, I'm actually just going to do elimination because it's my favorite. So let's do elimination. I see I could multiply by 1.5 or I could multiply by 4, both of those negative. I think I'll go with -4 just to give me a nicer number. So after I multiply this, I'm going to write it underneath here. So I get -4c minus 4a, and then equals 292 times -4, or -1168. I'm going to cross out this equation so I can still see it, but it's not going to mess me up down here. Okay, now let's add these two together. So +4a and -4a cancel out. I have -4 and 1.5 I need to add together. So that will be a -2.5c equals, so 788 and -1168, we combine those to get a -380. Want to make sure to keep that negative since the bigger number was negative. And then now I just need to finish solving for c. So divide both sides by -2.5. And that will give me c equals 152. So basically I know I'll have 152 children. Oops. Okay, now we need to find adults. How do we do that? Well, we can plug the c into one of the equations and solve for a. I'm going to go ahead and just plug it into this first equation because there are no coefficients in front of c and a. So we'll put in 152 for c plus a equals 292. We subtract 152 from each side to solve for a. So we end up with a equals 140 children, or adults. And a good thing I had my a written there because that reminded me I have 140 adults. Now, another thing you can do at this point, just to make sure, is first look at your answers and make sure it seems about right. Does that seem about the right ballpark that you would expect? I think so. I think that seems reasonable. We can also check and make sure it adds up to 292. So if I add 152 and 140, I am going to get 292. So I know that works. And then I can even substitute them into this equation to make sure it works there too. But I will leave that for you to do.